Welcome to a special end of the year 2014 edition of LC Screen Talk. My name is Larry, and today we're going to be doing a review of how minorities were represented in the world of film for 2014. So if you are somebody who thinks that racism is dead and inequality is no longer an issue in our entertainment industry, I'm here to tell you that unfortunately that is not the case. And today we're going to do a little bit of an in-depth discussion on the numbers that show just how far we still have to go and how we have even regressed a little bit from years past. So in Hollywood, the bottom line is box office numbers. Studios only see the dollar signs when they're deciding who to cast, what movies to make. That leads to all of the decisions in Hollywood. And unfortunately, they don't have very much faith in minority-led films. As of right now, on December 29th of 2014, exactly 0 of the top 10 domestic box office earners have a minority in the main role. Now, I will say that this is probably going to change by the end of this week, so by the time 2014 ends, I think we'll have one. And that one film is Big Hero 6. It's closing in on that number 10 spot. And it does have an Asian voice actor for Hero, our main character. However, there is a small caveat when looking at Big Hero 6. While Hero was part of the main advertising, and he's definitely the main character of the film itself, the story was mainly sold in the advertisements on Baymax and his comedic relief, how awesome he was, and I think many people, such as myself, came out feeling like Baymax was the star. He stole the show. Guess what? Baymax is voiced by a white actor. But overall, I won't give Big Hero 6 too much. It did have a diverse cast. It included Hispanic voice actors, Asian voice actors, black voice actors, and I can't fault Disney too much because this is the most diverse film I think they've ever made, and it was refreshing to see. So we will have one that breaks into the top 10. However, the numbers don't get much more positive when you expand it even to the top 50 highest box office earners of 2014. That number, including Big Hero 6, expands to a total of 6 movies, and this 6th one here is very questionable. I'm counting Let's Be Cops for Damon Wayans Jr., but I really don't think he was the lead, and I really don't think he was the star. So that's a very generous 6th counting. But in realistic numbers, I think it's 5 out of the top 50 had a minority in the lead. And guess what? When we expand to the top 100, our 10% holds because it then advances to 10 movies in the entirety of the top 100 box office hits of 2014 that star minority leads. The 10% is a widely underrepresented number of all of the minorities. So this isn't just black, this isn't just Hispanic, this isn't just Asian, none of that. So it's all of them lumped into one category of being a minority, and then white, all white backgrounds lumped into one being the lead character. And the American makeup is not 90% white background, 10% all other. So it's really disheartening to see these kind of numbers. And when you break down even the minority numbers, it gets a little bit more dire for some minorities. There is one film that features an Asian lead, and I just talked about it. It's Big Hero 6. There's one film that features a Hispanic lead, and that is The Book of Life, which is also an animated film. 7 black leads, and then The Rock for Hercules as a Samoan, Pacific Islander lead. So there's nobody that represents Middle Eastern descent at all, and there's no Native American leads to be put into that category. So it is very disheartening that me, as a Hispanic American, don't even get to see a live action version of myself brought to the big screen. I have to watch The Book of Life, settle for, Dia de los Muertos story told through a cartoon, and don't even get to see the actors live. And the same thing for if you're a young Asian person in today's society. You didn't get to see, you represented on the screen almost at all this year. And if you are Middle Eastern, you probably did see yourself as some sort of terrorist or threat or bad guy in a film. And if you were a Native American, well, you were left out altogether because we could like to forget that you exist. Then even when we look at the black leads, which is a bit higher than all the other minorities, the reason for this is that there is still a certain level of solidarity within Hollywood. Let's just look at some of the titles that featured black leads this year. So we had Ride Along, which featured Ice Cube and Kevin Hart. Race didn't really matter at all in that film. It was a buddy cop comedy, generic. They were just kind of plugged in, and their race didn't really play too big of a factor, so I'm going to give that one a pass. And then we look at The Equalizer, which is not a race-exclusive film. Denzel Washington is a huge star, he was just plugged in as a star, and that's that. And then we get No Good Deed, Think Like a Man 2, and About Last Night. All three of these are what Hollywood has really deemed as black cinema or black film. It's an almost completely black cast, it's pandering to a black audience majority, and that's it. It's just basically, here's your black films. And these have come under fire recently, but what people don't understand is if these films didn't exist, black actors with huge talent wouldn't be getting lead roles at all in Hollywood. Taraji P. Henson has struggled, even though she's an Academy Award nominee. Idris Elba still, even with his high-profile name, struggles to get lead roles in films. Both of them were able to star lead in the No Good Deed film. And then Think Like a Man 2 and About Last Night, both star Kevin Hart, have a hugely talented, predominantly black cast. And these actors, again, would really struggle to find a lead role in a film outside of these. And that's really disheartening. And then we have Get On Up, which is a biopic about James Brown. So it's a film about somebody in history. So you have to cast according to race there. And then we have Annie. And this has unfortunately been deemed as the Black Annie. And, I mean, I just find that unfortunate altogether. But when you just look, even as Selma comes out, it's technically a 2014 release, but it's mostly not going to be released to the majority of us as audience members until 2015. Solidarity takes a huge part in how this film was even made. It's funded by Oprah Winfrey. Without her funding and backing of the project, this film wouldn't even be coming out. You wouldn't be hearing about it, getting all these Oscar nominations. Thankfully, she did get a black female director of Ava DuVernay to direct this Martin Luther King Jr. biopic. And it's going to be like the black choice of the Oscar season, again, because as we saw last year, no matter how many good films you have that center around black subjects, only one has room to make it into the Oscar race. And when we're looking at the landscape of award season, the Golden Globes are probably the most high-profile award show that has released their nominations thus far. And the Golden Globes is really a good case to look at because they split it between drama and comedy. So that's 5 lead comedy actors, 5 lead drama actors, and 5 lead supporting actors, and then 5 lead comedy actresses, 5 lead drama actresses, and 5 supporting actresses, giving us 30 total actors nominated for acting awards. How many of those were of any minority? 2. 2 out of 30 award nominees at the Golden Globes for acting categories. And only one of them even has a real shot at an Oscar nomination. David Oyelowo has a shot for playing Martin Luther King in Selma, and Quvenzhané Wallis was nominated because she's in a musical and they like to film musical categories. That's just what it is. She has no chance at an Oscar nomination. It does get a little bit better, I will say, when you look at the directing category. So I mentioned Ava DuVernay, she is nominated for Best Director. And then we have Alejandro González Inarritu, who did Birdman. So, yay, a Hispanic guy made the board. So 2 out of 5 there. Way better numbers. But overall, not at the box office, and not at the award season are we seeing diversity awarded. And it's really, really sad. The problem is there's opportunity. Let's just take a look at some of the top earners at the box office that completely just disregarded diversity altogether. Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, I love that film. And originally, the apes were representative of race relations back in the 70s. I don't think I saw anyone of color, maybe scurrying around in the background. I had problems with the human characters in the film in general. There was nobody that wasn't white in that film. We look at Transformers: Age of Extinction. It's the biggest movie at the global box office this year, the only one that has passed $1 billion earned. It even was set in China for half of the film. Not a single character of Chinese descent, or any other descent really, was a main character that we cared anything about. Except one very offensive, stereotypical mess of a samurai transformer himself. That really should have been left off the board. And we all know Michael Bay loves to add in these racially insensitive jokes and Transformers, and it's just a mess. So we can't be too shocked by that. But the movie is set in China, and you can't give us a Chinese main character. One that has people of color, but is really disappointing to me, is X-Men: Days of Future Past. If you've watched my other videos, you know this is my favorite film of the year just because I'm a huge fan of X-Men. And we do have like Halle Berry as Storm, Bishop is in there, we have Blink. So we do have a lot of racially diverse mutants running around in here. Just none of them are given very much time. I think if you added up all the characters from minority backgrounds together, you would get like 10 minutes of screen time in that whole film. And that's really disappointing because X-Men has such a good platform to create diversity and have a diverse cast. Probably the most diverse cast of any superhero property. And the films just haven't really taken advantage of that at all. And then another movie that I really loved was Godzilla, that failed miserably on the racial diversity aspect. It is a Japanese property. The Toho Studios created Godzilla, and we had one character of Japanese descent in the whole film, and it's just like blows my mind. Our main characters are all white. They all married white people that they magically found in Japan. Like, you just stuck to white people in Japan. It makes no sense to me. And Godzilla was just such a disappointment for not capitalizing on that rich Japanese heritage that the story tells. And then, the huge scandals of recent times play a huge factor into the Hollywood dynamic when it comes to diversity. Let's look at the Sony scandal hack. So everybody is screaming that this is a huge invasion of privacy to read these emails, and we're so focused on pro-America with release the interview. But what we're overlooking is the content of these emails. I didn't see people outraged at the racist comments made in these emails, the underpaying of black actors in films in these emails. The fact that the producers inside of Sony think, what can I talk to Barack Obama about? Did he like 12 Years a Slave and Django Unchained? It just shows the ignorant state of producers in Hollywood. They think the only way to make black cinema or give black actors any kind of role, or the only thing that black people will watch and on the big screen, is about slavery. And that's insane to me. Viola Davis is famous for saying she struggled so hard in her career because she only gets to play maids and, legal people. So you're typecast. Even in today's landscape, it's maids, it's slave movies. 12 Years a Slave was the rage last year, and it's a fantastic movie. I'm not taking anything away from that. But it's the same old, same old. That's the only black story people are telling. And we don't get colorblind films very often, like Ride Along I mentioned a little bit earlier in this video. It just doesn't happen because producers have this crazy mindset that was displayed in the Sony email hack. Another huge controversy that really made me decide to kind of boycott this film, and I'm not going to give any money toward it, in the theater, didn't do a review because I didn't want to go see it, is Exodus. And I know it's been covered a lot about the whitewashing, and, Ridley Scott tried to defend himself. But here's the thing. It goes past the fact that you cast white actors as Egyptians. That's one thing. Two, you bronzed them to make them darker. Last I checked, that's blackface, and that's not really okay. 3, not only did you whitewash the cast, but all of the supporting cast. The slaves, the helpers, all of the background people who literally just stand there, even people who walk into rooms, have nothing to say. They're all black. So you're telling me only the powerful people in Egypt are white, and all of the rest of you, you can stay black. You can stay looking like what Egyptians should look like or would look like in the actual circumstance. That blows my mind. And the fact that people let him get away with this and try to explain it off by some nonsense is just crazy to me. It's ridiculous. Like, this is an example of horrible casting, blackface, and prejudice reinstated here in 2014. So if you thought we were past that, these are the numbers to tell you otherwise. These are the situations that you need to look at and be outraged with. It's crazy. And like I said, this is 2014, and we're not doing better. So to recap, black actors can get jobs, mostly in black cinema, and sometimes those can make a lot of money. If you're Asian or Hispanic, you can become a cartoon character now, but we're really not going to cast you in lead roles otherwise. And if you're anything else, either you're a bad guy or we forgot you existed. So that's what Hollywood has to think of everyone that doesn't identify as white. Good luck seeing yourself or relating to anybody that you see on the big screen if you are not one of those who identifies as white. And if you still think that race relations are not an issue in our media and in Hollywood, make your case, make your argument down below, or hit me up on Twitter. I'm glad to have an intelligent discussion with anyone who does want to debate this with me. What do you think? What do you think the current situation is regarding race in Hollywood? How do you think it can be fixed, if it needs to be fixed at all? What are the steps we can take as audience members to make sure that Hollywood starts getting the message? Let me know down in the comments or on Twitter. Thank you so much for watching the video. I hope you liked it. If you did, click like down below and subscribe to the channel so you're always up to date on our latest videos. I love you all so much for your support. Mwah! Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!